Good morning. Okay, you could probably tell that I sound a little crazy, and I do because I just got over, or I'm still fighting, still getting over having a cold. Um, so that's why I've been a little radio silent. So let me go ahead and introduce myself before I just start. I just randomly started talking. Anyway, I'm Lexi Wilson, and I am an entrepreneur, hair goddess, and lovely woman who is trying to get over this cold that I've had since like Saturday. I went to the zoo on Saturday, and I think I came back and got like elephantitis. I'm just kidding. I think that's actually a disease and I just whatever. But anyway, basically, I went to the zoo on Saturday. I haven't been to the zoo in years. It was fantastic. It was amazing. It was lovely. Came back on Saturday night. Felt a little tickle in my throat, but thought I was going to be fine. Then on Sunday, woke up and I had a full-blown cold, flu, something. I don't know. I was trying to fight it, and it just continued to get worse and worse and worse. And today is the first day I actually feel alive. The rest of this week, if you've noticed, I haven't been online a lot. I've posted every now and then in between the grogginess of sickness and sleep. But today is the first time that I actually feel a little bit more like my energy is back and all that stuff. So, yeah, so that's where we're at. And so because of that, I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get on live. I gotta do it. But I couldn't get on like video live because I was like, I don't feel like, no. But I'm here now and I'm excited to be live. I'm excited to be back and to get back onto Facebook and all that stuff. Hi, Jackie. Yes. Okay, so it is a disease. I thought it was. I was like, I feel like that actually is something, but I'm so glad that you got my pun. Yes. So you just got over the flu and bronchitis. Oh my gosh, girl. I'm happy you're okay, but geez. That is intense. And the flu too. Because see, I can't even tell if I got the flu or if I just got a really severe cold. Because I did have like aches and things, which is what I normally get when I have gotten the flu in the past. But, and I don't know. But I just, I don't know. I'm not sure what I got, but I got something. And I'm sure you can hear it in my sound, in my voice, that I don't sound completely like myself. And even now, as I can feel my energy like going a little bit, so I know I gotta roll it back, dial it back. But I guess it's gonna be really hard because I just, it's me. So, okay, if you're catching the replay, go ahead and put in the comments that you're catching the replay so I can say hi to you, because I want to definitely say hi. And before I get into today's topic as well, thank you so much for the hearts, Jackie. I just love you and I adore you. But also, I do want to also let you guys know that I am so excited that I feel better right now, because this week, Monat, the company that I work with, that I'm an independent beauty consultant for, they are having an amazing freaking sale. And I just wanted to share that with you all as well. This weekend only, if you purchase a system, you can get a grab bag of stuff that's worth over $125, but you'll get it only for $20. So they're talking like, they have this thing called I Wonder, which is amazing. And I so want to get it. It's basically, I've seen it grow people's lashes. Like my friend got it and she's been using it to literally grow her lashes and grow her brows. So if you've been struggling with overplucked brows, or if your lashes just aren't that long and you're tired of paying for lash extensions, then this is amazing. So definitely look into this. They also have the blowout cream, I think. They have a brush. It's like a ton of different stuff in this bag. So if you're interested at all, and if you've been considering purchasing a system for yourself or for Christmas or for anything like that, definitely get in touch with me so I can hook you up, okay? Because I definitely want to hook you up with this great stuff and get you in touch with things that you know are going to be great for your skin. It's vegan, and one of the things that I really love about this product, or these products entirely, the entire line, is the fact that it's all vegan, but it's all cruelty-free, which I've started to really get into that, is trying to, I am not the perfect at it, okay? I'm so sorry, but put a 1 in the comments if like cruelty-free matters to you. But I'm not perfect at it. I still use some products that sadly are not cruelty-free. And what that means is that they don't use it on animals, like they don't test it on animals. And a lot of our products, like the lipsticks, the makeups, and all that stuff that we use, they actually test it on animals. And I hate that because I'm such an animal lover. I'm literally holding my cat right now as I'm talking to you guys. He's living his best life. And my other cat is like staring at me, trying to wonder why I'm talking into the air. But I'm trying to get into products that are completely like cruelty free, and the products that I use for, at least for my hair care, are all cruelty free, and I love that. So if you're interested in all, let me know. Now let's get into the topic today as to what I'm talking about when I say you're allowed. So I was thinking, okay, about how often we experience things in life. We experience like unhappiness, we experience stress, whatever the case is, or an event happens or something happens and we feel what we're feeling, but then we feel like we're not allowed to experience that feeling. So for example, that feeling could be, oh, hey, Olivia, hey, Ashley. That feeling could be the feeling that, like, let's say you're going through a really hard time, you know, you're dealing with loss and you're grieving, but then you start to feel this pressure that you should be over it by now. Like, you got to get over it, get through it, right? Or let's say you're unhappy with your life, you're unhappy with your job, you're unhappy with your friendships, you're unhappy with your location. And instead of owning that feeling, you start to tell yourself, well, you know, I don't want to be negative. Put a 3 in the comments if that's something that you've like thought or you've been told. Like, don't be so negative, you know? And so because of that, you feel like, well, I can't own the fact that I don't like my job. I can't say the fact that I hate my house or whatever the case is, or I want to move. Like, you can't own that because there's people around you either insinuating or pressuring you, or just society is telling you like you don't have the right to feel that way. And that freaking sucks. I hate that. I hate that. So many of us are holding back how we truly feel because we're too afraid of being negative. We're too afraid of coming off as complainers. We're too afraid that we're going to attract it to us. Like, we're going to attract more of that energy. And listen, there's a balance here. So I'm going to get into that and I'm going to talk with you about that. But there is a balance to that situation. But at the end of the day, you are allowed to feel what you feel. And that's what we're talking about today. So Ashley totally agrees. Okay, great. I'm glad that you're definitely here for this. So here's what I got to say. Don't apologize for how you feel. Don't hide how you feel. If you're going through a really hard time, it's okay to be like, you know what? I'm going through a really hard time. I'm not happy with the state of my marriage. I'm not happy with where I live. I'm not happy with my job. It's okay to own that feeling, because if you deny that you don't feel that, you're not going to make any changes. Put a 4 in the comments if you agree with that. That if you deny how you feel and if you hide it and you apologize for it, you are not going to make any change. You can't change what you're not willing to acknowledge. So you have to first be willing to say, I am not happy. Now, does that mean that if you say that now you're going to attract more unhappiness? Not necessarily. It just means that you're saying, this is the fact. I see something in front of me, and this is what I'm calling it. Okay, it's no different than, for example, like I said, I see my cat right in front of me. I could pretend like I don't see my cat and be like, oh, I don't see him. He's not there, you know. Or I could say, you know what? There goes Ansel. He is right there cleaning himself, and that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge it. It doesn't have to mean anything good or anything bad. It's just me acknowledging the fact. So it's the same thing if you're not feeling good about your life, if you're not feeling good about your job, your marriage, your location, your whatever the case is, it's okay to acknowledge what it is that's happening. It doesn't mean anything good or bad. It's just acknowledging it. We are meant to then grow, okay, from those experiences. So when you're experiencing a feeling as a result of an event, that feeling is there to trigger your growth. Okay? Put a 5 in the comments if you agree with that. Hi, Fifi. Good morning. Or no, good afternoon. But your feelings are there to trigger a series of events that are now going to agitate you enough to make you start to grow. Okay? But again, if you're not acknowledging the fact that there's something wrong or that there's something that you're not happy with or whatever the case is, you're not going to deal with what's actually going on. And that causes a lot of troubles all on its own. So it's important for you to acknowledge the feeling and acknowledge the fact that this is here to teach me something, that this experience is meant for me to grow better as a wife, as a mother, as an employer, as an employee, as whatever, as a person on this journey called life. Now, if you don't decide to learn the lesson from it, if you don't decide to acknowledge the feeling, okay, what's going to happen is you're inviting the universe to return that lesson back to you. So often we go through the same things over and over and over again. And you want to know why we go through the same things over and over? Because we refuse to learn the lesson. We refuse to acknowledge what we really feel. We refuse to take from that experience what we needed to actually take in order to achieve the next level. Okay, so you're constantly growing. So I like to think of this as like when I was in school studying to become a counselor, we learned all about these different theories. And one of my favorite theories was the Ericksonian theory. And his theory was that you go through certain crises in your life at every stage of your life, from birth until death, where in order to mature, you have to not get over, but you have to succeed at whatever the crisis is. So for example, when you're first born, okay, in Ericksonian theory, the idea is that the infant is going through the crisis of learning about trust versus mistrust. Okay, so when that baby cries, and if no one answers to its cry, it learns in that moment, wow, the world is not trusting. So now I won't trust it. I know that if I cry, nobody will hear me. Nobody will acknowledge me. So it begins this process of mistrust. So it accomplished, quote unquote, that level and then matures on to the next level or whatever the case is. Or if somebody responds to that baby and responds to the cries, then it learns, wow, I can trust that someone is going to respond when I call for help. Now, I'm not saying that now every time your baby cries, you got to respond, because that also, there's a balance in life to everything, right? So if you're responding to every baby cry, you could be teaching your child a lesson there too. But the idea of what he was saying is that every single stage of life, we go through these crises, not necessarily negative crises. That's not what he's talking about. It's more so a transition period. But what he's saying is that in order to mature, we then go through these situations that allow us to develop as people. That is what I would say is happening a lot of times with our feelings. A lot of times our feelings are allowing us to develop skills as people. But if we refuse to acknowledge what's going on, we are not going to receive the blessing of that lesson, of that crisis, or the blessing of being able to transition healthfully. Is that a word? I don't even know. Healthfully? I don't know. But we won't transition in a way that's healthy for us. Okay? All right, let me see what some of these comments are. Ashley says, people are so scared to be classified as depressed or have mental health issues, but I think a lot of mental health is just people denying themselves of their truth. Oh, speak on it, Ashley. Yes, 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 yes. I fully believe that completely, okay? And I've seen that in my work as a counselor, where people who have denied the fact that they have an issue have actually created their own issues. They've created mental health disorders simply because they've created a habitual process of denying how they feel, and it turns into depression. So some people obviously are born with chemical imbalances and things like that they really can't do anything about it without the help of medication and support and things like that. But there are plenty of people who are not necessarily necessarily born with dopamine, less dopamine or less serotonin than other people, but rather because of the fact that they've created an habitual process of denying their anger, denying their depression, denying whatever the case is, they've actually created an issue in their mind that didn't have to be there because they didn't create neural pathways that should have been developed, all of those sort of things. Listen, I can get into the science of it all, okay, when it comes to the mind, because my degree is in marriage and family therapy, okay, so I can get into it. But your brain literally creates pathways. Every time that you do a habit, every time that you do certain things, your brain creates pathways. So that way, in order for you to get things done quickly, so you don't have to think about, how do I brush my teeth again? Your pathway just fires up and those neurons are like, oh, this is how we do it. We put the toothbrush on, we take our right hand, we take our left hand, we do this, whatever the case is. But when you don't create that pathway, it makes it difficult. That's why learning things can be a challenge because there's no pathway. There's no creation. You're creating it as you go. And our brain is so wonderful that it's constantly in a mode of creation. So we can constantly create and develop. But that's also why when it comes to our feelings, it's important that we allow those feelings to exist so we can create and develop and move forward rather than continue to stay stagnant, causing even more issues for ourselves. So I love that. Good morning. Why do I keep saying good morning, guys? Good afternoon, Dusty. So if you're loving this broadcast, I encourage you guys to share this out just in case there's somebody else out there who is needing this message. They are needing that permission to feel what they feel and feel empowered to know that they are in the right place to do that. So definitely share this if you're getting any information from this. So now let's move on to the steps because I live in a steps kind of world, okay? So I don't want to just hear what you're saying. I want to know, well, what do I do about it? You're saying I'm allowed to feel. So what do I do next? Well, the first thing is, like I said, acknowledge what you feel. If right now you are not feeling happy with your life, do not continue to tell yourself, I am so happy with everything that's going on in my life. I feel fulfilled at my job. I feel this. If that's not what you feel, okay, don't affirm something that isn't true. Because let me tell you something. When you do that, when you sit there and you tell yourself these quote unquote affirmations, but they're lies, your mind is smarter than that, honey. Your mind is going to tell you you're not happy. You're not fulfilled with your job. You do not love that guy. Like, your mind is going to tell you that because your subconscious is so much more powerful than your conscious. So conscious mind. So your subconscious mind is going to go, you are such a freaking liar. You don't believe that. And it creates this, what ends up happening, well, to put it in a nutshell, you're actually affirming the negative. So I'll say for myself, when I create an affirmation that I don't believe in, what ends up happening is that when I say, I love my job, but realistically I don't, my subconscious kicks in and is like, girl, no, you don't. And continues to then tell me, over and over and over again, you don't love your job because you don't love your boss. You don't love the time. You don't love this. You don't love your pay. You don't love your coworkers. You don't love the commute. All of a sudden, my subconscious starts to tell me all the reasons that I actually don't love my job. So you see how that makes sense? So what ends up happening is instead of me affirming the reality that I quote unquote love my job, I actually subconsciously start to affirm all the reasons why I actually don't. Okay, that's why I feel like it's so important for you to be honest about what you actually feel. So it's okay to say, you know what? I'm not happy with my job. I'm not happy with it. Okay. 2, what you're going to do now that you know that you're not happy with your job, you're not happy with your marriage, you're not happy with where you live, you're not happy with the relationship you have with your children. Oh, let's call it out, y'all, because there are parents out there who are feeling so guilty and so ashamed about the fact that they don't like their kids. They're like, I don't know who my child is turning into. And instead of just acknowledging that, they're like, no, yeah, I love my kid. I love them. When secretly inside, they're like, I don't even know, like, did I create that thing? Like, it's okay. It's totally fine. It's totally normal. Good afternoon, Jenny. Thank you for joining me. Is this your first time joining me live, I think? Woohoo. So it's okay to acknowledge a thing. Listen, parents are freaking human beings. When I was a teenager, I didn't get that at all. I'm sure we all were, we were like, oh, our parents are crazy. But now that I'm like in my 30s, when I'm watching TV, I find myself relating to the parents a lot more. And I'm like, crap. Now I'm officially old because I'm actually looking at the parents and being like, oh my gosh, those kids are ungrateful. So I know I'm old. But now it's like, or not old. Listen, I'm not old at all. But I'm just saying, oh my goodness. Okay, you guys, my New York accent just came right on out. So that was hilarious. But I'm not going to apologize for that because why? But I'm totally getting off sidetracked here. But the reality is that it's okay to acknowledge, listen, I don't like the relationship going on with my kids. I don't like the relationship in my marriage right now. I don't like whatever the case is. It's absolutely fine. Acknowledge it and then address it. Okay? So what that can look like is, let's say you're not happy with your relationship. Okay? Just because you're not happy with your relationship does not necessarily mean that it's over. Now, that is coming from somebody who's been in a relationship for a long time, who's been through the ups and downs, and who knows, like, it has not been perfect. It has not been perfect whatsoever. But too often what ends up happening with relationships, with life, with work, with all this other stuff, we quit instead of realizing that we just need to transition. We need to figure out a new way, that we're growing, they're growing, and we need to figure out what we're doing. So for example, this could look like saying, maybe if it's in a relationship that you're in that you're not happy with and you're feeling that, is to state, listen, I love you, but I'm not happy with our relationship right now. I don't feel supported. I don't feel acknowledged. I don't feel appreciated. Whatever the case is, you're talking about how you feel. You're not going to approach it by telling the person, hey, listen, you don't support me. You don't acknowledge me. You don't appreciate me. No, because what you're doing in that entire energy is you're the problem in my life. My life would be perfect if you didn't do blah, blah, blah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No one's going to listen to that. They're going to only hear they're only going to hear that you're attacking them and they're going to get defensive. But if you're stating from your end, hey, listen, lately I've been feeling really underappreciated. I've been feeling really unsupported. And I really want something to change because it's causing me to feel unhappy. It's causing me to feel sad, whatever it is. Okay. When you state that, what you're allowing the person to do is to hear you. Because when you're coming at them and you're attacking them and you're saying like, hey, well, if you would have done this, then I would, no, that person ends up going, well, I'm going to just defend myself. I'm not even going to listen to what they're saying because they're already attacking me. And I mean, think about it. You've been in that situation yourself. We've all been there where somebody has come at us and told us something that might have been true, but because of the way that they delivered it, we got defensive before we could hear them, even though we might have agreed later on that it might have been true. So if the person comes to you and talks about how they feel and how it's affecting them, and because they've already done the work of acknowledging that they feel that way, now I'm in a better position to hear, oh, wow, you feel unappreciated. I didn't realize that, or whatever the case is. So acknowledge what you feel and address it using I language, okay? And what that means is I feel unappreciated. I feel ungrateful. This can apply to your job. You can talk to your boss and say the same exact thing of saying like, hey, you know what? I wanted to talk with you because lately I've been feeling like my pay isn't what I deserve. Or, lately I've been feeling really unappreciated in the office because when I kind of make an opinion, what ends up happening is people just talk over me. Or whatever the case is. You're not saying, hey, I feel like you're an idiot and you don't run the office the way that I feel that you should. You also don't pay me exactly what I think that I deserve. That's a totally different conversation, right? Okay, so address it using I language. Then listen to your heart and your body with balance, okay? So what that means is if you feel called, like let's say you're going through a hard time and you feel called to stay in your house all day and just watch freaking Riverdale and just eat ice cream Put a 5 in the comments if you're a Riverdale fan, because I just jumped on that show and I freaking love it. I love it so much. But anyway, if you feel called to stay inside, to go within, acknowledge that it's okay. It's okay to want to just be in your house, to ignore the world and just heal. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to go out every single night and be around people and constantly be in the mix. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if, okay, I'm going to even go as far as saying this, even if you're doing it to avoid how you feel, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Where the error comes is when you don't achieve balance with it, okay? So if you're going out every single night and you never try to make time to deal with the sadness that you're actually feeling, that is your error, okay? If you're staying inside your house, hi Carolyn, good afternoon. If you're staying inside your house and you're never going out when people ask, when your friends ask you, hey, let's go out to Dave & Buster's, let's go see a movie, let's go get some dinner. If every single time your answer is no, that is the error. There is a balance to everything, okay? So for example, when you get a cut, okay, there is a time for the Band-Aid, and then there is a time when that Band-Aid has to come off. Boom! Mic drop in the hizzy. Okay, so there's a time for both. This doesn't mean that when you're wearing the Band-Aid, it's any less important than the time that you have to take the Band-Aid off. So there is a time to go into hiding and to lick your wounds and take care of yourself. And then there is also a time where you have to expose yourself. You have to be out. You have to rely on your friends and your family for support. That's absolutely okay. It's finding that balance. So what I encourage, and I'll be completely honest here, I'm a total extrovert. So I love to be around people because that's when I get a lot of my energy. But when I'm going through a hard time, I don't want to be around people. I get very introverted and I'm just like, nope. Don't want to see you. Don't want to talk to you. Don't want whatever. I used to feel so ashamed about that. I used to feel like, oh, that means that I'm depressed and I'm a bad person and I'm being negative and I'm being this and all that stuff. And I used to judge myself for being somebody who went into hiding when I felt sad. I don't do that anymore. Well, I still do that sometimes when I'm struggling, but I remind myself, don't judge yourself for that. If you want to stay inside of your house for a week because you don't feel good, and not just because of sickness, but simply because you just don't feel emotionally ready, that's okay. It's okay. What I do now is I set deadlines for myself. If I notice that I'm doing that for 2 weeks, no, now it's time to get out, okay? And it doesn't mean that I have to go out to a party or go out to a club or go out where there's a lot of energy that maybe I don't feel in the right energy for. Maybe it's that, hi, Minus, yay. Maybe it's that I go and take myself out for dinner. Or I go meet up with just one friend instead of 5 of them because maybe I don't have the energy to deal with everybody. This is really great, for example, if you're going through breakups. This is something that, oh my God, when we go through the end of a relationship, we judge ourselves so harshly sometimes, or we're judged so harshly as to how we should handle that. And I know for myself, when I've been through breakups, I go through a period where I don't want to be around a lot of people. And a lot of times it's because I'm embarrassed and I don't want to talk about it, or I don't want to be reminded, or whatever the case is. Instead of judging myself for the desire to stay in, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to stay in. And then I'm going to find that balance of maybe after a week, I'll allow myself to cry it out, deal with that, whatever the case is. And after the week, I'll go meet up with a friend. I don't want to meet up with the whole crew because I don't want to talk about it. But maybe I'll meet up with like my closest friend, or maybe I'll just take myself out and go to a movie or something like that. It's finding that balance. That is going to be the key here for dealing with it. There's nothing wrong with going inside, but there's nothing wrong with going outside either, as long as you're actually finding that balance. And then lastly, what I want to encourage you guys to do is to receive help. This is where a lot of us fail, okay, is we don't want to receive the help that people are giving to us. And I am so guilty of this. Put a 6 in the comments if that is something that you struggled with too, where because of your own experiences, because of disappointments, whatever the case is, when somebody offers to help us through a hard time, we don't want to receive it. So we either ignore it completely or we ignore ourselves so we don't have to deal with the help. Okay? That has been my truth so many times, where I have refused to acknowledge how I felt because I didn't want other people to feel bad for me and then offer to help me. And really, that a lot of us do that. A lot of us do that, and we don't even realize it. We don't realize how we're actually saying to someone or saying to ourselves, like, I don't want to show this feeling because I don't want people to feel bad for me. I don't want people to feel like they have to ask me to go out. I don't want people to, but the thing is, what is that about? That's really about your inability to receive help. And so you're going to hide your feelings because you're afraid to receive help? No, sweetie. That's not going to work out for you. It's only going to cause you even more pain and more unhappiness. So what I encourage you to do is to begin to tell your ego, because your ego is actually coming out in that moment. Your ego was saying, hey, let's not put ourselves out there, because if we receive this help, we're going to owe them something. It's not safe for us to do that. It's not safe for blah, blah, blah. And that is not going to be helpful for you. So instead, you want to tell your ego, listen, I know you're just trying to keep us safe. You're just trying to protect us from disappointment. You're just trying to protect us from any harm or anything that could go wrong. But you know what? It is safe for me to receive help. It is safe for me to cry it out on my friend's shoulder. It is safe for me to receive financial help if I'm deciding to leave my job and somebody is saying, I'm going to help you out through this time. It is safe for me to stay at a friend's house while I'm trying to figure out my relationship. It is safe for me to whatever it is, whatever the help that the universe brings along its way, it is safe for you to receive that. Because here's the thing, when you don't receive, you also make it really hard for you to give freely. The same people that struggle to receive are usually the same people who struggle to give without thinking, I hope that this comes back to me. Now, they don't always think that way in a sense of like it's blatant, right? But for example, and I've been guilty of this, where I've struggled with receiving. And so what happens is when I've given in the past, there have been times where then later on I'm like, okay, well, I hope they help me out next time, you know, like, or if something happens, like let's say I give, and in that moment I'm not thinking about receiving back, but when I'm going through something and then I'm like, hey, I really need you to hang out with me. I'm going through a really hard time. And they're like, no, I can't. Automatically, I'm like, oh, well, what about that time? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm thinking about. And it's because I actually struggle to receive. I actually struggle to get that energy back. So I make giving a very difficult thing. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not healthy for anyone. How many times when you're in a place where you can easily receive and easily give, how many times have you given and it felt amazing? I know for myself, I grew up in a house where we volunteered all the frickin' time, okay? I was homeschooled and literally part of our curriculum was volunteering like all the time. So we had a certain amount of hours that we had to do every year. And I loved to volunteer because I loved seeing the difference that I personally was making, to know that my influence, that my presence, that my work was actually helping somebody just because. And then them knowing that, wow, this person just helped me just because. It feels amazing, doesn't it? It just feels good. When you help out a friend or you help out a family member with no intention of thinking like, oh, I'm going to get this back. I'm going to do whatever, or they're going to help me out this way, or they're going to give it back to, like, when you just give, it feels amazing, right? So allow those people to do that for you right now. If you're going through a really hard time and somebody offers to help, they say, hey, I want to buy you lunch. Hey, I want to bring over dinner for you and your family. I want to help you find a job. I want to offer up my home to you for you to stay here. receive. Allow that person to have the blessing of giving, and allow yourself to receive the support and love of community, of love of somebody actually extending their presence and their energy to you. Okay? Feel what you feel. Allow yourself to feel and go through these steps. Let's re-listen to this over and over in order to get comfortable with feeling what you feel. Now, in a later show, I definitely want to talk about dealing with the vulnerability aspect of it, because a lot of times what we don't want to do is we struggle to feel because we're afraid of coming off as vulnerable. And there is a time and a place. I'm sure if you've heard of Brene Brown, she loves talking about vulnerability, and I love that she talks about that. But there is a time and a place to be vulnerable versus when you want to be a little bit more guarded. And when you get that clear, when you get clear on that, it makes it a lot easier for you to own your feelings and feel what you feel. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed to feel your feelings, because the feelings that you experience through life are the lessons and the highlights of your life growth. That is where the trigger begins, okay? If we were a bunch of robots, we would stay stagnant. We would never move forward. But we move forward because those feelings are like the freaking milk to our cereal. They bring the flavor and enhance our ability to enjoy life, okay? Anyway, guys, again, if you love this, definitely be sure to share it out, just in case there's somebody else out there who really needs to hear this message. They really need to feel validated in their ability to feel their feelings and to own it. And also, like I said earlier in the show, if you are interested at all in the products, the amazing flash sale that's going on with my company, I would love to talk with you about it. So just get in touch with me. Just hit me in my DMs. All right, everyone, happy Friday. I hope you have a wonderful day. Allow yourself to feel every feeling that you're feeling today, and have a great day. Mwah. Bye.